Idaho Matters is one way to learn about the people, the places, and the things that make Idaho unique. From the geography, the flora and the fauna, to the culture and arts of this place that we call home. Subscribe and listen to Idaho Matters today at boisestatepublicradio.org/podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts.
On a Monday, it's The Connector. This is Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Troy Appy. Good morning. Today, the Boise VA Medical Center trying to get many of the employees fired last month by the Trump administration back. Plus, a new measure at the State House would allow districts in Idaho to push aside the Idaho Reading Indicator test in favor of their own testing and standards. And how states are tackling the issue of who's responsible for wildfires in the Mountain West. It's The Connector, Idaho Daily News from Boise State Public Radio. We'll start this morning with health insurer Blue Cross of Idaho laying off 135 employees following the end of a dual-eligible Medicare-Medicaid contract it had with the state of Idaho. Boise Dev reports Blue Cross president and CEO Paul Zerlo notified the workforce of layoffs last week. Idaho's Department of Health and Welfare in January awarded its duals contract, which provides service to about 26,000 Idahoans, to United Healthcare and Molina Healthcare. The reduction for Blue Cross of Idaho is a little less than 10% of its workforce and is spread across the state. Boise Dev reports the notification to employees says affected workers were notified and informed of the available severance package. Idaho's Reading Indicator test, better known as the IRI, is administered each year to every kindergarten through third grade student and remains the benchmark of progress, or lack thereof, in Idaho's youngest readers. There's a new measure at the State House, though, that would allow school districts to push aside that test in favor of their own standards. GOP House Representative Barbara Ehart introduced the bill last Friday.
It allows the school districts to select the most effective reading assessment for measuring student growth rather than just relying on a one-size-fits-all. Now, some of us who have been here understand that this could eliminate the IRI.
But some members of the House Education Committee say they have an issue with an effort that could dump a state reading assessment that's been in place since before the turn of the century. Here's Republican Representative Jack Nelson of Jerome.
My biggest issue with this is hiding behind averages and changing course when we have so many parts of the system that are working. And I would rather spend the money. Consultants and helping people is great, but I would rather this address the bottom, the people that are struggling and why they're struggling, rather than trying to change course with everybody.
The bill was introduced despite some opposition from Republicans and Democrats in the House Education Committee. It could receive a full hearing at a later date. A woman arrested during a 2022 abortion rights protest in Boise will be allowed to move forward with a lawsuit against Idaho State Police. The Idaho Statesman reports Evelyn Hardy sued after charges against her for battery against a police officer were dropped in state court. Now, it's because police reports of the incident, body cam video, and sworn testimony by officers involved were not consistent. U.S. District Judge Lynn Windmill then ruled in late January that officers involved in the case were not entitled to broad immunity from prosecution. That allows the case to move forward to trial later this summer. Hardy, who has already settled out of court with the commanding ISP officer involved in her arrest, alleges that her arrest was illegal and evidence was suppressed or made up. Windmill dismissed some parts of Hardy's lawsuit, including allegations of excessive force, and Windmill dismissed two other officers involved in the arrest from Hardy's lawsuit. A woman hiking in Nez Perce County this weekend was struck by a rock and has died, according to the county sheriff's office. Life-saving efforts by fellow hikers were unsuccessful, according to a news release. The incident happened about 4 miles east of Highway 95 near Rubens, sheriffs say. The victim has not been identified. The Boise County Sheriff's Office briefly Sunday issued a Level 1 evacuation warning for residents near Horseshoe Bend due to a rapidly moving wildfire that sparked around 2 o'clock near Cook Gulch Road. The fire was at least 15 acres. Horseshoe Bend, Garden City, and Eagle firefighters responded. The evacuation warning was lifted after the blaze was contained. About 2 hours later, no injuries or structure damage was reported. Boise Veterans Affairs Medical Center confirmed 13 probationary employees were fired in late February, but video of an internal VA staff meeting indicates the agency has petitioned to get most of them back. Those cuts came in facilities and operations, but also 2 in the medical rehab division and 1 who worked in mental health services. A spokesperson declined to confirm their specific roles, but in a video teleconference last month, Boise VA Director David Wood told staff he expected some of the fired employees to be hired back.
I think in some cases they've made mistakes. I think there was one employee here that there was a mistake made, and certainly we're in the process of trying to get that rectified.
That employee, Wood said, should have been classified as exempt, as most are at the Boise office. They also appealed 9 other dismissals as necessary employees. VA Medical Center spokesman Josh Callahan could not answer questions regarding the appeals nor confirm if any additional employees had been let go in the month of March, but did provide a statement from the VA. Quote, "We've reassigned the duties of these former employees to others and are changing our processes to be more efficient. As a result, there will be no negative effect on veteran health care, benefits, or other services," unquote. Multiple sources say they're not aware of any additional firings at the Boise VA Medical Center since February. Separately, an appeals board has ordered reinstatement of fired probationary employees at the U.S. Department of Agriculture and several other agencies, but it's not clear yet the status of any appeals for VA Medical Center workers. The Trump administration, of course, says it's eliminating government waste and bureaucracy with these cuts, but uncertainty surrounding the moves have made small business owners in the Mountain West wary about their future. Christoph Geisler is a business owner whose work is backed by the National Institutes of Health. He's concerned about the stability of funding at his Wyoming startup that develops new probiotics trying to address kidney stones.
How do I tell my investors what situation I am in? Should I tell them the sky's falling when I may be okay, or should I tell them that I'm okay when things can change?
But now he says he probably won't apply again due to the risk of more cuts to budgets under the Trump administration. Elsewhere in the Mountain West, power companies have been blamed for sparking some catastrophic wildfires in our region, but should they be held responsible? Not if they've done everything they can to mitigate risk, according to several states in our region. Here's the Mountain West News Bureau's Hannah Merzbach with more.
Arizona, Idaho, New Mexico, and Montana are considering letting electric companies somewhat off the hook if they create and try to follow wildfire mitigation plans, which involve clearing brush and reinforcing infrastructure.
The goal there is to do everything we can to ensure that we are not the cause of a wildfire.
Tom Carter of Rocky Mountain Power advocated for the policy in Wyoming, which recently passed it into law. He and others say it also protects companies from raising rates to cover legal costs or going bankrupt. But home insurers like Victoria Stewart at Farmers say those costs could just be passed on to homeowners.
It's going to raise rates somewhere. So it can either be on homeowners insurance or it ends up on utility.
Utah passed a similar law shielding utility companies last year. For the Mountain West News Bureau, I'm Hannah Merzbach.
Let's get you some sports before we wrap up this morning. Boise State women's basketball advanced in the Mountain West tournament yesterday with a 54-48 win over Nevada. The Broncos will face top-seeded UNLV later today at the women's tournament in Las Vegas. The men, meanwhile, will be a 5 seed after last Saturday's costly loss in the regular season finale. The Broncos face San Diego State this Thursday afternoon. On the high school hardwood, congrats to the Owyhee Storm boys basketball team, 6A state champs for the third time. They beat North Idaho's Lake City High School by 31 on Saturday night to take the crown. Timberline beat Boise for third place in 6A. Other champs from our listening area, Wendell took the 3A championship with a 3-point overtime win against Declo. Kendrick wins 2A over Kamei. Dietrich beat Chalice by 22 to win the 1A state title. The Times-News reports the Blue Devils dedicated their title run to former coach Wayne Dill, who died in 2023. The team is now coached by his son, Slade Dill. That's your Connector on this Monday morning, March 10th. Our digital strategy manager is Lacey Daly. Our news director is Sasha Woodruff. Our general manager is Tom Michael. I'm Troy Oppie. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you again tomorrow morning.